All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about Ubisoft again. Now, Ubisoft is a company that we all know is going down the absolute crapper. That is pretty much obvious at this point. The company is most likely going to be bought out or just bankrupt by the end of 2025. And at this point, now there's conversations that are happening from leakers coming out about Ubisoft. So there are leakers that are reaching out to certain YouTubers and giving them information regarding the company and essentially giving the breakdown of how the developers are treated in the company. How there is a higher tier developers that everybody knows, how there is a mid-tier developers that do a good job but nobody knows, and how the majority of the developers there at Ubisoft are absolute trash and they basically serve no weight. Or in this case, like the article says, they are dead weight. Now, again, this should not be very shocking considering the state of Ubisoft. Ubisoft is known for hiring DEI hires, okay? You're going to have people that are going to roll their eyes and say, another YouTube grifter calling them DEI hires. But it's true. At this point, you have to start to question, how are they not DEI hires? And this is including the white people that get hired as well. Quite frankly, the people being hired over at Ubisoft are not capable of doing a great job compared to the people that used to work at Ubisoft. All you got to do is look at their video games in the past and look at the video games now over the last few years, and you'll see that, quite frankly, the quality of the team is not great. So let's get into this article from Phantom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says a new rumor alleges that the vast majority of developers at Ubisoft are supposedly dead weight, and they don't know how to do anything other than pushing social change, which is why you would call them DEI hires. This rumor comes from YouTuber Akalon TV, who detailed the following: that he received a number of alleged documents from a Ubisoft insider who also informed about the current state of the company's employees and talent. He shared the following. So basically, the way developers at Ubisoft is classed, according to this insider, is that you have the superstars. They are the best of the best, and they're incredibly good at what they do, and they're also often well known. Now, he says there's very few of these people left at Ubisoft. Most of them have already left and have found much better positions at companies that are a lot better positioned within the market. Can't blame them, considering that, look at the amount of layoffs Ubisoft has been doing. Look at the amount of tanking Ubisoft stock has done over the last couple of years. In 1 year alone, they lost over 80%. It's absolutely insane. So just look at everything that's happening with this company, and I think it's very clear that a lot of top talent is not going to want to stick around, especially if some of their pay is linked to their stocks, right? If their stock is tanking, why would they want to stick around knowing that they're not going to make as much money as if they go to another company that has a much better stock and a much better place in the market? Then there's what he refers to as good developers, but they don't have brands. They don't tweet, he relayed. And he calls himself one of these developers. They make up a small portion of those developers that are still left at Ubisoft. The problem is, while they're good, they don't have names, so they can't get jobs anywhere else. I've started to notice that a lot of developers, a lot of high talent or at least high tier developers, are also linked to their activity on social media, right? So the more active they are on social media, the more likely they're going to be able to get a job somewhere else. I think this is pretty obvious at this point. It's no different than people maintaining activity on LinkedIn, for example, to try to give themselves a better opportunity to get hired on a corporate level. And then the vast majority of developers is what he calls dead weight. They don't know how to do anything. No matter what you give them, they're pretty much always doing it wrong. But what they're very good at is social change, pushing social change. And so basically, if you can't do the job that you were hired for, make sure that you become a political activist, is what I took from that, he declared. He didn't even talk about the DEI stuff with these guys. Just apparently they make working for Ubisoft very, very, very difficult. Now, this is something that we could see from a mile away, okay? I don't care how biased you may be. All you need to do is look at a lot of developers that work at Ubisoft that are also active on social media, and you'll realize very quickly that they are in fact activists. There's no doubt about it, right? They make everything about social change. Their entire profile page that's supposed to be dedicated to video games apparently is dedicated to politics, which again, why do that? I really don't know. And they're not the only ones that do it either. Let's be very clear. There are people out there who are in Hollywood that do that as well. How many actors do you know that their entire profile page is dedicated to politics? It's almost nothing to do with their job or the roles that they do or whatever, or movies in general. It's basically all politics. Then from there, he shared that this original insider, as well as another, detailed how Ubisoft's video game development process are all bogged down in administration and bureaucratic meetings. He explained the next thing that was revealed to me, and this is from both insiders, is actually just a nightmare of designing video games for Ubisoft. Gaming today, according to these insiders, are more like a factory line and a logistical nightmare than it is about creativity. Well, we've already known that. You know what I mean? Like that was so obvious, I think, at this point for the last year or two, that most of these video games are just basically copy and paste A, B, and C, do X, Y, Z kind of a thing, and then throw in political messaging in there, and boom, you got a video game. I think a lot of people were following that mantra only for it to fail, and now they're trying to shift to the other direction. I mean, look at all these developers that are changing tune, developers that are talking about free speech now, developers that are asking their players whether or not they want body type A and body type B in video games. I mean, this shit was never happening before, and now it's all happening because, quite frankly, the conversation that we partook in, right? They tried to call us the vocal minority. They tried to call us the grifters. They tried to call us whatever, but the fact of the matter is, shit is changing now, and shit is going down, quite frankly, because we were the ones charging up the conversation. We were the ones that were actually having the conversation to begin with, while the journalists were all ignoring the conversation, or better yet, running damage control for the studios trying to not have the conversation. Now they're forced to have the conversation, and I think it's a good thing. But then he says, in order to get anything done, you take weeks of meetings at the Department of Logistics to get all the teams involved. And then you get to do the thing. And then once you're done with the thing, you have to go into more meetings in order to implement the thing. There's just so little space for actual creativity. The insider that works in QA revealed to me that just getting bugs fixed is almost impossible, which, again, not shocking considering that Ubisoft is supposedly spending the last couple of months trying to make sure that Assassin's Creed Shadow releases without a hitch, without any bugs or whatever the case may be. I don't believe that in the slightest. I really don't. I know that's basically PR speak for them trying to change up the game to make it more friendly to people when they basically get their hands on it and not be so focused on Yasuke. That's essentially my, my theory. I could be right. I could be wrong. I really don't know. But the last thing I think Ubisoft cares about is fixing bugs. They've been very much clear with their quality of video games over the last few years, and they're in the same camp, in my opinion, as Bethesda. Whenever I see a Bethesda game, I immediately think it's going to be buggy shit, and usually 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what it ends up being, and Ubisoft is the same exact way. So I don't believe they're spending the last couple of months trying to make these video games any better, because quite frankly, they just released a game called Star Wars Outlaws that was released as literal shit. I mean, the game was super buggy, had game-breaking bugs. They had people had to restart their entire game in order to be able to fix. So don't tell me this company cares about bugs. You know what I mean? Which, again, the insider is not saying they do. They're actually saying exactly what I'm saying. Then he says the amount of bugs that they will report to a company, and then after a couple of weeks, they'll just get a works as designed, won't fix. And it's not that the bug doesn't exist. It's not that they actually designed it this way. It's that getting a bug fixed isn't as quick as a developer just quickly making a couple. The logistical nightmare that is fixing a bug just makes it not a top priority for a lot of developers. They don't want to go through all of that, just so they rather not do it. And at this point, that pretty much shows in their product. So again, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear. Ubisoft is going down the crapper. We already know that. The company, unfortunately, is not what Ubisoft used to be many, many years ago. And Ubisoft has been riding the coattails of IPs that made them very famous from gamers that supported actually good games many years back. And now they've been riding it all the way down into the dumpster fire that is currently Ubisoft. What's going to come from this? I don't know. But we're going to find out on March 20th when Assassin's Creed Shadows eventually releases. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.